I'm Holly Walk-Kastora, a certified Iyengar yoga teacher in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and today I'm with Melissa, and we are learning the progression for practicing Sirsasana in the middle of the room. So firstly, we need to learn the base of Sirsasana, and that is the asana that Melissa is in right now, and it's called Tadasana, mountain pose. So in mountain pose, the soles of your feet are spreading and pressing down evenly into the floor. The thighs learn how to roll from the outside in the front and spread out along the back, across the back. The kneecaps learn to lift up because the quadriceps engage and the heels press down. And the sternum is lifting, collarbones spreading, and armpits ascending as the arms reach down towards the floor. And you'll see that her head is in the center, and shoulders aren't rolling forward, they're rolling back. Neck is evenly long on both sides, and the crown of the head is balanced over the center of the arches of both feet. So some of the poses that we do when we're beginners, many of the poses prepare us for the practice of Sirsasana, such as can you turn sideways, Melissa? Taking from Tadasana, taking the arms up to a pose called Urdhva Hastasana. Yeah. And then bringing them down halfway, interlacing the fingers, turning the palms away from you. Here's where we learn how to interlace the fingers and move more of the dorsal thoracic, the middle part of your back, into your body. And can you turn around and face the rope wall and show them Gomukhasana arms? You can just release your interlaced fingers and see how she's interlacing her hands, or at least touching. There she is. She's been gardening all day. And then can you turn sideways towards the back door? Yep. So you'll see how her deltoid the muscle at the top of her upper arm is turning from the inside out, and she's going to move her elbow forward a little bit, and that will help take her the top of her shoulder, the other way, back in the opposite direction. Yeah, elbow forward, shoulder backward. Okay, and then turn so your other arm faces the camera. Turn all the way around. Yep. Now have your right arm as the top arm. Yeah. So here she learns, and your bottom arm is the left arm in Gomukhasana. She's learning how to roll her triceps in and extend those, elongate the armpits, and turn the inner upper arm to the outer upper arm, and bring her head back, in line with the arm. There you go. And then release the arms. Another pose that we learn is Prasarita Padottanasana. So watch as she, from Tadasana, takes her hands to her hips or up in line with her collarbones and jumps her arms and legs wide apart. And for this one, she's going to exhale and bend forward and take her hands to the floor. So here she's learning how to use her legs, even though her mind and her torso are moving away from the legs. And she keeps her spine extending, sides of her trunk lengthening forward as she walks her hands back and takes her head down. So here she learns how to bend over, palms down. Lift her shoulders as she brings her head down. And the legs learn how to work even though she's not looking at them. She's looking back, right? But she can't see her legs, but she can work them. So she's reaching through her heels, lifting her inner thighs, from her outer hips, connecting down to her outer ankles, and then she takes her hands to her hips and comes up. An advanced stage of this pose is taking the hands into prayer position behind the back. It's called Paschima Namaskarasana. Again, the gardening. It's like the antidote to yoga practice. Yoga practice is the antidote to gardening. And from here, bending forward and taking her head to the floor. Rolling those shoulders back, moving the part of her back that's in between her shoulder blades in, and lifting her chest up. And then coming up by reaching from those outer hips to the outer heels. Okay, and then bringing your legs back together again. Okay, so as Melissa's teacher, it was my responsibility to teach Melissa how to come up into Sirsasana in the middle of the room, because she could do Sirsasana at the wall, but she had some fear, right, about coming up in the middle of the room. So first of all, I reminded her that she was able to do Adho Mukha Svanasana, do dog pose, for several minutes and maintain the integrity of her deltoids, her inner upper arms, her shoulders, and her shoulder blades. That's it. And then she remembers how she learned how to move her outer hips back and in towards the median line. So how to compact those hips, she learned in several of the other standing poses, including Prasarita Padottanasana. And then from here, coming back to your hands and your knees. So she knew that she had the intelligence, right, and that she was able to maintain the awareness in those parts of her body that were priorities for Sirsasana. So can you fold your mat up, Melissa, and we'll show them what you learned. So in December of 2014, I went to Pune, India for the Iyengar Yoga Convention, Yoga Nushasanam with Gita Iyengar, and we worked on learning the following stages of Sirsasana. So I came back and taught Melissa how to do Ardha Sirsasana. So she knew the base already for Sirsasana. She'd been taught because she was practicing at the wall. So we worked on maintaining that base as she started to work away from the wall and in the center of the room. So she's going to bring her head down to the floor between her interlaced hands, and she's coming onto the crown of her head. Okay, now before she comes up, you can see that her shoulders are over her elbows, right? And she's going to lift her knees off the floor while pressing from her outer forearms down and her outer wrist down. Don't keep your head down on the floor for this one. Come on up. There. And now watch, as she walks in, this part of her back is going to move in and up. So you see that her heels are not down on the floor, they're up, because then her hips can lift up. And from here, Melissa learned how to just transfer the head from the balls of the toes to the tips of the toes. And you see how she's able to maintain that concavity in her dorsal thoracic. And then she walks out and bends her knees to come down. Okay, then the next stage that we learned was Urdhva Prasarita Ekapada Sirsasana. So it was one leg stretched upward in Sirsasana. So you start from Ardha Sirsasana, go as far as you went before, Melissa. And remember how the triceps have to move down, the forearms and the outer wrists press down as she releases her head down and lifts her inner upper arms and her shoulders up and away from the floor. She's going to connect her outer wrists pressing down with her inner upper arms lifting up and turning out and her dorsal thoracic moving in. Now from here, she's going to raise one leg up. Keeping the shoulders lifting, rolling the front of the thigh in, keeping the weight in the toe, and then down she comes. Even weight in both forearms, lift of the shoulder blades symmetrical. As she shifts the weight to the left arm, she's going to raise her left leg up. The left forearm has to take over the work of the foot on the floor. Turning the back of the thigh out, rolling the front of the thigh in, and reach through that heel. And then down you come, walk out, and take a rest for a moment. So if you have restriction in your hamstrings, your buttocks, or your spinal muscles, you could take Urdhva Dandasana at the wall, and that's where the feet are on the wall. The torso is perpendicular to the floor, and the hands are in Sirsasana, and the head is down, and raise one leg up at a time that way. Okay, That's if you have stiffness. But here goes Melissa again. Now she's going to come up with one leg and then the other. So you'll see how she's bringing her head down onto the floor and lifting her knees up. Walking in, now go as far as you went before with one leg up. Just one leg. And then reach through that leg to come up. And here I am. I'm right here the whole time. So bring your feet back towards this hand. Press your heels back into my hand. Keep going. There. And you see as her teacher, I have my hands on the front of her thighs, my other hands on her heels. The fingers on her thighs are pressing her thighs back, and the hands on her heels are reaching her heels up towards the ceiling. You stabilize your triceps, move them down towards your elbows. The forearms and the outer wrists down to the floor, and lift the inner upper arms up and turn the outer upper arms forward. Keep the inner upper arms lifting, the outer wrist pressing down. Okay, now keep this leg up and take the other leg down. That's it. And then there she goes. So she learned to do that with one leg and then the other leg, and then to learn to come up with both legs, I'm going to take my foot and place it right here near her hands, and you see how my leg is on her back. Okay, now Melissa, shift the weight, keep walking in. Walk in even more until your toes get light, and then bend both of your knees. Grip your hips in. Yeah, and then lift your knees up towards the ceiling. And I'm right here the whole time. Okay, now take your thighs back and lift your heels up. Keep the front of the thighs rolling in, back of the thighs spreading out, and the heels reaching up. Stabilize those forearms, outer wrists, inner upper arms. Okay, now to learn to come down with two legs, I'm going to come here behind her, and then she's going to bend her knees. Here I am the whole time. Now grip your hips in, and then bend your knees into your chest. That's it. She's doing all of the work. My hands are just there. Great. So that's how Melissa learned to do Sirsasana in the middle of the room. Namaste.